Hey guys, welcome to the Broken But Not Forever podcast. I hope that you are having a great day. Today I am so excited. I got one of my favorite gals on the podcast. She is actually one of my heroes. She's one of the most intentional moms I know, an amazing wife, leader in the community, and just all around awesome. Welcome, Keri, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Chelsie. That's so sweet of you. So kind.
I was thinking in the car on the way home, I was like, how am I going to introduce her? Because there's so much I could say.
That's very, very kind.
I know I said a little bit about you, but can you kind of introduce yourself?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. I'm Keri, like Chelsie said, and I'm married to Nick for almost 22 years, I think.
Oh my gosh.
We're
crazy. Catching up to you.
I'm getting old. And I have 3 kids, a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and my daughter's turning 12 this week.
Oh my gosh.
So we are in the thick of the teen years.
Wow. That is, wild.
It is
I mean,
wild.
we knew each other when our kids were babies, and just now that we have teenagers together, it's still like...
I still remember you teaching me about teething tablets for Nate.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
You are also a founder of a local conference. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Bloom Conference is a yearly conference for women, and we have it designed so that women can come and have a day where they can just be away from all their stress of their lives and just be reminded of their identity in God and just be refreshed and refilled. So it's a 1-day event, and we hold it every spring typically.
And next year is 10 years?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Gosh. I remember when you first started, you had your first conference.
Yeah.
It was like incredible.
You were on the panel.
Oh gosh. I didn't know what I was talking about. But it's just wild to think that you've been doing this for 10 years and to see, from a distance, like how it's grown. And I've been able to go the past 2 years, and it's been really encouraging for me. And I made, we had in one of the breakouts, I made the Bible charm, which I love. I feel like it makes my Bible look so cute.
It's really cute.
So
I like it.
That was a really fun breakout. But so we've known each other for quite some time. 14 plus years now.
Yeah.
We are in ministry together as far as, I think, were we ever in a small group yet? A couple small group, maybe?
Recently, yeah.
No, in the past.
In the past, no. But I was at your mom's table.
Yes, we were in the mom's group. I couldn't remember. I know we've been in like different places together, but it's been really cool just growing with you over the years. And I moved to Asheville for 6 years, but still we kept in touch. We were even on a little blog together.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Keri's an incredible writer as well. And I've learned a lot from you in that area. But since then, I've come back to Charleston, and here we are at the same church, leading beside each other. And it's just been, and just our families, like getting to know each other, being in group together. And it's been an honor to learn from you and to hear your story, to see it from a distance, but then to also know it personally in the last couple years. And I know that you have opened up in different circles just about your seasons of surrender. And I was thinking about the conversation today about what we were going to talk about. And I just, when I think about seasons where they're difficult and you're facing them head on, and there's a lot of unknowns, maybe there's hurt, maybe there's fear, it's really hard to surrender.
It really is.
And I'm excited to just hear from you today and hear about your story. And first, I just kind of wanted to talk about what surrender is.
Yeah.
I like definitions.
I like that.
I'm a dork like that.
I love it.
So surrender is letting go of control. This is trusting someone or something greater than yourself. But in a faith context, surrender usually means giving your fears, your plans, pain, or expectations over to God instead of trying to carry everything alone. And that is exactly true when it comes to surrender. It's just the willingness to give up control and being a Christian, giving it, it to God. And man, that's tough. And
really
so
hard.
I'd love to kind of jump into it. And if you, I don't know where you want to start, but just kind of talk about some seasons of surrender that you've been through, share as much as you want. And I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So when you mentioned that to me, initially I thought, of course, of I thought of 3 different areas of life. And I thought of motherhood, marriage, and my health. And those have all definitely been areas where I have learned the importance of surrendering. Yeah. And, I think all of us to some degree like control. We don't want life to feel out of control. And then I think some people probably like it even more. And I like a plan. Like I like knowing what to expect, and I like thinking like I'm going to do this and that, and then I'm going to get the end result,
Yeah.
And I think going into motherhood, I kind of had that mentality of, I don't know, I never really heard anyone say it was going to be hard. So when it was hard, I thought I'm surely doing something wrong. And so I would read a new parenting book, or mom blogs were big back then. So I would go to one of those and I would think, maybe I just don't have the right morning routine, or maybe something's off. And over time, I just learned that there's no perfect formula. And ultimately, I think our kids, they help us just to kind of strip away some of that pride and just realize that we have to surrender ourselves to God and let Him form us as a mother. And
That's so good.
Just let Him kind of strip away all those things that we have in our lives. And I feel like motherhood really strips away all of that, because our kids are unpredictable and they
sure
do
does. And you're
things.
like extending yourself to the limit.
Yeah.
Talk about sacrifice. Like, for the first time, it's not about you. It's like, I have a little person right here that I have to keep alive, and I have to feed, and have to, all these things. It's hard.
It's really hard. And they don't, you think, well, I'm doing all the right things, and they're not acting how I thought they would act, So I think that was definitely one of the first areas that I kind of saw God teach me about surrender. Yeah. And even now, as they're getting older, I think just surrendering them to God, it's really hard, letting go of that control. And I think we have so much more control in some ways than our parents even did, because we have Life 360, I can see, I can get on my phone right now and see where each of my kids are.
I'm on that app multiple times a day.
And I'll be like, okay, we're all right, he's leaving work. Okay, he's here, and just realizing that they're going to make mistakes. Yeah. I make mistakes daily, and we're all humans, and just surrendering them to God and trusting that He has a good plan for their lives,
That's so good. Ultimately, we don't have control over, when they're 18 and they move on, we will hope that we've done our best. We will hope that all those years of parenting and nurturing and teaching and leading, has helped. But ultimately, you're right. We have to surrender them to God. Yeah. And the rest is up to Him, and they have to make their choices as well. And it's just, you're right. It's stripping away, kind of our desires, our wants, putting them first. And then it's just backing off, and it's a tough thing to do, because you care really about them so much, and you're like, I just want you to be okay and be a great human.
Yeah. And there's times where you're watching them make the wrong decision, and you're like, oh my goodness, but then seeing even how God works in those moments, it really is beautiful to see. And so I think it's just been really good for me to learn to surrender in that way.
That's so good. Is there a specific moment that you can look back on with one of your kids, and there was a moment where you just had to I don't know, surrender control in that moment, or just surrender and just say, God, help me. I don't know what to do. Is there anything that you can think of?
There's been a lot of moments.
You're too many to count, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I have 2 really strong-willed kids, and they challenge me daily. Yeah. And it's just very challenging at times. I'm like, why can't you just be like do it the easy way, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But at the same time, someone at one point told me, you know, you're raising like such great leaders. Like they can really fuel that in the right direction and they can be great leaders.
That's good.
And so once I kind of flipped that, it helps me. And whenever they are frustrating me, I'm like, they're going to be a really great leader, you know? So
hopefully they'll be a great lawyer or something.
Let's fuel this in the right way and just kind of learning when to speak and when not to. And there's just been times, you know, where I remember recently getting really frustrated with one of my kids and thinking, like, this is the best option, you know? And I just wanted him to understand it so badly. And I dropped him off at school and I just kind of prayed and I was like, God, I give it to you.
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks later, it all ended up working out. And he ended up saying, you know, oh yeah, I think that is actually a good idea. And just, I can so easily, like, I want to like push and get them to figure it out. And just surrendering really does help. Just, I don't have control over this. I gotta let go with it, you know?
And they're watching you.
Yeah.
They're watching us and they're seeing us in moments, whether it's personally or with them, where it's like we just have to give this to God right now, or, you know, that's so good. That's so good.
It can be hard, but, and then I think just, the other two areas, marriage and health. For marriage, I think I grew up in a broken home. And so I always had this idea, like, I'm going to choose a different path, you know? Yeah. And the same kind of concept, like, I'm going to do this and this, and then I'm going to get this beautiful result. And I didn't really realize that it's normal to have struggle in marriage and that you're two imperfect people.
Right.
And I think when you don't see it being dealt with in a healthy way, then you think all struggle's wrong. And so when things were hard in our marriage and we went through a really hard season where I didn't even know if we were going to make it through, and I just kind of had to daily surrender to God and just say, you know, I am praying that we can stay married, but if not, I know God is good. And I just remember saying that over and over again. And my counselor even getting me to the point where she was like, Keri, your hope is not when you're on the other side of this and your marriage is okay. Your hope is in God.
Oh, that's good.
And that kind of like has really stuck with me.
That's good. And
I think it's a lesson that I needed to learn as I went into a season where my health was questionable. Like, she kind of led me into remembering, you know, it's like those seeds that are planted that you can use in later years.
Yeah, you like needed that to prepare for the next season. Yeah. Gosh, that's so good.
And so, I mean, I constantly remind myself of that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I'm hoping that works out. But if not, like, ultimately our hope is supposed to be in God.
Man, that like really hit home, because you're right. Sometimes we just put a lot of hope in the outcome that we want, the outcome that we want to control.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, we want the perfect solution. We don't want life to feel tough or our marriage to be in a tough place. And it's really hard to do that when that's your teammate and your person. And it's like, we built a life together and here we are in this tough place. And now I have to, God, I trust you, but I still don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And you want that quick fix. Yeah. It was really hard. It was just like surrendering and knowing, like, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know no matter what, God is with me, and that's enough. And that, it gave me such comfort. And especially like as someone who's a planner, you know, I wanted to have plans for all the different outcomes. Yep. And I wanted to, like, if we just follow this plan, I remember we even had friends that they were like, if you guys just do this and this, like, you guys should be able to just scoot your way on out of this. And I was like, that's not working. It's not happening. Yeah. You know, and you want that. You want the quick fix. And sometimes quick fixes do happen, but sometimes they don't. And sometimes the seasons are really long and really dark. And I think just kind of normalizing that and knowing that through those seasons, good things can still come out of them too. Absolutely. It's hard to sit in that tension. Yeah. I remember looking back on one of the tough seasons I've had, and I just was, I didn't want to surrender. Like, I was angry that I was even in that season, and
I remember I would go on walks and I would listen to like angry music. And I was just like, I did not want to give it to God because I didn't know what the outcome was. And that was scary. And I knew that he was a good God. I knew that I knew, I didn't not believe in him or the truth, but I was just frustrated with him. And I remember I started to say the serenity prayer. You know, God help me or grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And help me to accept the things I cannot change. That's like the toughest part. And I'm sure it is. Well, I know too, like with marriage, it's just, there's seasons where, man, we're not jiving. Or I've hurt you or you've hurt me. And nobody wants to sit in that.
No, and it's not fun.
No.
Like I look back on that, I'm like, oh, that was not good. Like it was awful.
Yeah.
But I think now being on the other side and seeing like the healing and the sweetness of where we are now, I know we wouldn't be where we are now without going through all of that. Because I think God kind of stripped away a lot of stuff in both of us.
Wow.
And a lot of control in me and a lot of just more vulnerability with us and more openness, you know, that wouldn't have happened without going through all of that.
Do you think there was a moment where you like debated, like, God, I don't know if I want to surrender this to you? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, there were times where I was really frustrated with it and really just stressed. But I think in some ways, I think going through other hard seasons, I just knew like all I have is God, and so He was just like my safety net. Like I would just spend so much time like praying with Him and just talking to Him. And I had like some close friends that I confided in community, but just that time with God. And I remember hearing someone on a podcast say before, like, when you're in those hard seasons, those moments with God can be so tender and sweet. And I think those were just such sweet moments. But I do think I struggled to just say, like, no matter what, God, like, it's okay. Because I wanted to have a sense of control still, you know, and people would tell me like these tips and ideas, but it was all control based ultimately. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm going for here. So I feel like my counselor really helped me to say, you know, doing all those things are great. You know, they're great boundaries. They're great things to do. But ultimately, you're trying to have control again. Like that's what you're grasping for. And so I truly feel like it was when I was able to fully just like surrender it and stop with all like trying to control, trying to figure everything out, that things started to shift and change.
Wow. It's easy to create a story in our head, whether we're overthinking or, you know, or even do certain things because we want the outcome to be a certain way. And I remember for me personally, there was a day where I realized, like, Chelsie, you don't even know what tomorrow holds, and you just have to give it to God. And it sucks right now, and you're human, and so you're allowed to be frustrated, you're allowed to be upset, but you have to do this. Like, I had no other option, you know? And thankfully, not that there was this easy solution that took place, and I'm sure in that season y'all had a lot of hard moments getting to that sweet season you're in, but every day it was just like, all right, I'm going to open up my Bible. All right, I'm going to start to pray. I'm going to start to believe, like, God, you're good at being God, and we just live in a dark world, and tough things happen. And so it's definitely hard to do that, especially with loved ones. And
it's really hard.
Your spouse.
You want, like, to wake up and everything be normal. And I think what I realize is it's not really how it works. Like, I can't look back and be like, oh, that was the day, like, everything changed. Like, it's just kind of over time. And then I look back and I see, like, wow, you know, God really did move and worked.
Yeah. God heals, but I definitely think time helps.
Yes, time helps. Time helps a lot. Time helps
just to get through each day, one day at a time.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
So how did that season, so you went through that kind of tough marital season. How did that transition into, you had mentioned health?
Yeah, so we were kind of like in like the nearing ending, like coming out of it, I felt like. And I started having issues with my health, and the doctors thought it was just like like a cyst or something that needed to be removed. And so I went in for surgery, and even like once it was removed and it was a lot larger and I knew it was on my ovaries, I'm just really a positive person. So cancer never even came into my mind.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and my sister's a nurse practitioner, and she didn't let on, like she didn't share anything like, hey, like this could be concerning, because she wanted me to not go down, spiral down, as I was trying to heal.
It's a good sister.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of I knew we were waiting on test results, but I was like, well, I'm sure it's fine, you know? Like it's not going to be any, like what could it possibly be?
Right.
I just didn't really think anything of it. And then when I found out that it was ovarian cancer, and they said it was stage 1, but still, you Google ovarian cancer and not very good things come up, and it's scary. And just the word cancer, I mean, you hear it and you think, this is how I'm going to die. Like that's immediately what you think, and you think like, how long do I have? What's the treatment plan? Like, is it something that's going to come back? There's just so many questions. Gosh. And it's just a lot like flowing through your mind. And often like you're not with a doctor in the moment for them to explain it all to you, So then you're just sitting and like these questions. And thankfully, like I asked my sister a lot of questions. But she's obviously not an oncologist, and she didn't know all the details of it at the moment. So, I think in that moment, I think I sat in like a lot of sadness. Like I didn't really surrender right away. I just sat and was really scared. And it was just really hard because, I felt like with the other things, I kind of was like, it was easier for me to surrender in some ways, but with your health, you're like, I always envisioned like being a grandma and like, like you just start thinking of like all these milestones and you're like, is this even going to happen? And even though people would tell me like, well, Keri, like it's stage 1, that's so good. Like it's still scary. And you're still thinking, the doctor will say, when I finally did go, he did a hysterectomy and he said, this lowers your chance of reoccurrence. If anything did come back, it wouldn't be for like 10 or so years. But that's still putting like a time frame in your mind.
Yeah, it's still going to be there.
It's still in there. And then you're like, okay, so my daughter would be 22, and so you still start like thinking through all these things. And so I think for me personally, it just became like a daily mental game of just surrendering control. And it depends on the season. Like if I'm in a season, even where I'm not feeling well, I'll kind of be like, it shifts again and it becomes a game again of just me. Like I have to let go of this. Otherwise this is just going to spiral and spiral in my mind.
That's good. And
so I think when I went through that season with my marriage and my counselor said, ultimately your hope is in God. It kind of reminded me, my hope is not in being cancer free. My hope is in God. And ultimately the end goal, like we all want to be in heaven, and that's like when I stripped it all down, I was like, okay, the worst case thing that would happen is I die, but then I'm with God, so then I remember going on a walk with my friend Michelle and like talking to her about it. And she was like, so what's like really causing you stress here? And I was like, it's because I think of my kids. Yeah. And so then ultimately it's like trusting like God is enough for my kids. So that was kind of where I think I had to lay it all down.
Oh, that's tough.
And that's hard.
That's so tough.
That's hard because you want to be their mom. You want to be there for everything. And
you don't want them to hurt either.
You don't know. But then at the same time, it's just something where I think I have to remind myself, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. No. Like cancer, it may not be the way that I die, you know?
Yeah.
And so even just the way my husband and I were talking the other day, and we were like, our kids had been at this park in our town, and it's fine, but sometimes there's stuff that goes on there because that's the world that we live in.
Right.
And he was like, oh man, it makes me a little nervous, like that they're going over there. And my friend was like, guys, anything could happen anywhere.
It's true.
You know?
It's so true.
So it's just kind of like that surrendering. Like, obviously we're not going to let them go do something
right.
stupid.
You're going to have wisdom.
Yeah. But it's just kind of that we do not need to live in so much fear.
Yeah.
And I think I was just living in so much fear of what the future held. And I just started to kind of surrender it all and trust, It was a process, though. And even my husband and I still joke because, here you get cancer and then you're like, well, I'm going to be the healthiest person ever. Obviously, like, even though my doctor was like, Keri, like, he was like, this is a fluke thing. Like, there's really this kind of ovarian cancer. I don't know. Like, this is a rare moment. He's like, I've only had a few cases of this particular one, and there's nothing you did. But in your mind, you're still like, well, surely there's something I could do to help.
Right.
So I remember, like, 2 months afterwards, I decided I was going to eat super healthy, and I was trying to make quinoa.
Oh, gosh.
And it was a disaster.
That is so hard to make.
Yes. And my friend makes it. It's delicious. It was a disaster. And the dinner was gross. And I like good food. Like, I like to have a good dinner.
That is disappointing when you make a dinner.
Yes.
It's bad.
And everyone, like, the kids were like, oh, it's not that bad. And I just started crying. And my husband was just like, that's it. And he went to the grocery store and he got a bottle of my favorite red wine. And he was like, you're going to have a glass of wine and we're going to sit out back and we're going to talk. And I think, like, I was just trying so hard. Like, I'm going to do this and this and this and do all the right things. But then I realized that was me grasping for control again. It's just...
It's habit, right?
It's just a habit. We want that control.
Yeah.
We want it, whether it's with our kids or our health or whatever.
So what took place after you found out about, so you have this cancer? What did that, like, what did the treatment look like? What did the next few months look like?
So I met with an oncologist who my doctor actually had interactions with, and she said he was amazing, and he's the one who guided her through the surgery and everything. And he said that he wanted to do a hysterectomy because that would lower the chance of reoccurrence to like 1% or something, which is amazing. And the tumor was huge. I mean, it was like this inside of me. Like, it was massive.
Wow.
It was massive. I mean, my mom said I looked pregnant. Like, the day before I went in, she was like, you look like you're pregnant. And I was like, I know. I do.
Oh my goodness.
And I think it was just kind of like I was so uncomfortable and I just kept being like, I'm just going to wear yoga pants. Like, it's just more comfortable. But I didn't realize it was because nothing was fitting because I had this huge tumor inside of me. And so
that is crazy.
It's truly a miracle because when I went in, the doctor was just going to reopen me at my C-section scar. And when I laid down on the table, she saw how big it was that she decided to do a vertical cut.
Really?
And that saved my life because I can't, like, otherwise she would have been cutting right into it. And so she was able to safely, same doctor who delivered all 3 of my kids, like, was able to get this out of me.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was a miracle. It's truly a miracle. Like, she's like, I have no idea. And Nick and I were like, well, it was a miracle.
Oh,
like,
my
obviously.
goodness.
So the oncologist was just said, this is great that it's out of here, so we need to do a scan. So he did a scan and he didn't find any cancer cells anywhere else.
Good.
Whenever they did the hysterectomy, they do they search around and like check everything else, and there was nothing else anywhere. So he said from here, he only had 4 other patients with this particular kind of ovarian cancer. It's a really rare form. One lady actually is an older lady who used to work with my husband. So she kind of connected with me and she was like, hey, like, I'm 6 years out of this and totally fine. Never have had any kind of treatment.
Wow. Oh, that's so good that you had someone.
Yeah, like that was really encouraging, and she connected with me with a few people. And so I go to the oncologist once a year, and he basically just checks and makes sure that everything's good. And he just keeps saying, you know, pay attention to your body. Like, listen to your body. If something feels off, give me a call. So as of right now, I go again in July, and then he said he hopes to clear me for another 5 years.
Let's go.
So yeah, it's truly amazing. And I think it has just made me live, not with thinking like, well, what about that one pesky 1% chance that it could come back in 10 years, but thinking, no, instead I'm going to live each day to its fullest, you know, and I'm going to just enjoy life.
That's so good.
And I have friends and family, and, you know, just live this life. And I pray and hope that I will live and be able to enjoy being a grandma and enjoy getting old with my husband. Like, that has always been what we've always talked about. But I know that God is in control, and he has the perfect plan, you know? So I think whenever I start to get in my mind about it all and worried about it, if anyone ever says anything, you know, about like growing old or something, and I'll think like, but what if I don't? Then I'll say, nope, that's not a thought of God. Like, I need to take that away and toss that to the side.
One of my best friends says that's tomorrow's worries.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to let even the enemy fill in the gap of like the what ifs or the future. And it's so easy to go there, especially when you have a health scare like this, knowing that something like cancer could pop up, and it's a reality. But and so you are making a daily choice of surrendering, just that thought of, you know, this could happen, and it could, but just that I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to live it to the fullest. I have this second chance.
Yeah.
And I mean, praise God.
Yeah. And just, I try to exercise, and I'll eat healthy, but I'm not going to stress about it, because for me, it turns into control so easily. And so I've had a few well-meaning people reach out and say, you know, oh, you need to order this cancer diet book, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. And I just say, thank you, you know, appreciate that.
Yeah.
But that's just not the right route for me, because for me, it turns into control, and then that turns into not surrendering and me just trying to control the situation.
And you know what's like best for you, and like what's best for your like realm of influence and what you're taking in, and because everyone's going to have all their opinions.
Oh, yeah, everyone.
All the things.
I can always tell quickly. It's funny because there's been a few times, my friend Michelle knows me well, and there's been a few times we've been around people, and we'll just kind of like look at each other out of the side of our eyes.
We're like, thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah. Like, she's
people
like,
mean well. But
yeah. And I'm like, I know they mean well, you know, and they want the best for me.
Right.
It's just not the way that I'm choosing to go about it.
Absolutely. So. You have your boundaries and stuff. So how long was that season?
The cancer season. So like, it's 2025. I think 2024 was when I had the surgery. So I feel like over this past year, really like the fall of 2025 till now, I've felt the most freedom and just like really working on my thoughts and not letting them get out of control. But I really, truly believe that it was seasons of the past where God worked with me that helped me to be able to not get so caught up in my what ifs, you know, what if this happens? What if that happens?
You kind of answered the question I was going to ask. I was going to ask you, do you feel like going through those different things that you did not see coming has made you stronger today, has challenged you, but also increased your trust in God?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's just like when you have those like rocks, you know, that you're like, okay, I saw God bring me through this. I know that he's going to bring me through whatever's to come, you know?
Yeah.
And it becomes a little easier to trust, and you're closer to God too. So that changes things too.
Absolutely. One thing that we say to people just coming out of different difficult seasons is we'll say we walk with a limp, but like we still trust God. We love God, and we're going to keep living for him. But we've been through some things. So we do walk with a limp, but you know, the enemy can't take our faith. Exactly. He can't take our foundation. And I could not imagine going through life just without God in my life, and having that foundation, having that place where you know you can go to, and so that's just, it's a wild story. You've been through a lot, Keri. And you have definitely seen God move in your life and give you strength and giving you tools that you didn't ask for, and it's encouraged me. You know, I haven't been through a health scare like that, and maybe I will in the future, or maybe things will get difficult in other areas, but you've encouraged me just with your faith, and also how you show up for people. I know that you have shared how people have shown up for you in those different seasons, and you're so intentional with how you care for people, and I'm sure that's also come out of just like seeing people care for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those little things, they really mean a lot when you're in a hard season. Like just the little note on the chair, like I'd come home from work and there'd be a coffee sitting there waiting for me from a friend, you know, and she knew like it'd been a really hard day. It's just like those little things really are an encouragement.
Absolutely. So. And it's just a reminder to show up for people, and you never know how just doing that little thing, sending that text or giving that coffee or going out for dinner just helps you get out of your head.
Oh, definitely.
I can tell that I'm trying to control my situation if I'm cleaning too much.
Yes. Yes.
I know it sounds crazy, but if I'm overly cleaning, I'm in my head, and I am trying to control the house because I can't control my life.
This is very true. I was struggling with letting go of it all. I watched a video on folding the Walmart trash bags.
Wow.
So that you could reuse them. And I had them all folded. I showed Trey and Morgan when they were at our house for dinner. And they were like, wow,
you're going to have to do this tutorial
That's interesting.
After this podcast.
Yeah. I don't do it anymore. My dad recently, he was like, what happened? And I was like, oh, that's ridiculous. And he was like, oh, I'm glad you realized that. Yeah.
Well, hey, we've all got our things, okay?
Yeah, and I'm not saying if you do that, that's a problem, because I do like order and I like things tidy, but I think there's a certain line that I know when I'm getting a little obsessive with it that I'm trying to control too much.
Absolutely, and I think sometimes we can get busy with other things because we don't want to sit with ourselves. We don't want to sit with God because maybe he's telling us to surrender something, to surrender fear, or to surrender pride, or to surrender, you know, how that work meeting will go, or how your son's day will be. Sometimes we just don't want to sit with that. We'd rather just do all the things. But in those moments when we do take the time to, I know for me, I love going to Psalms. I love how David's so honest about, God, this is hard, but I trust in you. Or he says, my soul is anguished, but God, like, I put my hope in you. And when we don't have those moments with him, it's definitely more easy to like just drift away and get distracted. I need that. I need women in my life pushing me. I need those moments, because that's those moments that are going to get me through the next hour or the next day, and teach you more about surrender. And as I was doing my quiet time this morning, I actually read something about surrender. I wanted to read it, and I wanted to see what you thought. But it said, you may not celebrate the struggle, but you can surrender within it. Surrender is not passive resignation. It is not merely handing everything to God and stepping back. It is yielding while keeping your eyes fixed on Jesus. In the midst of the challenge and the uncertainty and the ongoing tension, to surrender rightly is to keep looking at him, even if the challenges don't disappear. Then over time, something shifts. Not because the struggle vanished, but because your vision remained steady.
That's really good.
And that's so good. That's really good. It's so good. I was like, okay, God, we're
amazing.
We definitely should be talking about this today, because here you are. But I love what it said. Like, you may not celebrate the struggle, but you can surrender within it. And
and that it's not passive.
Yeah, no,
because it is an active thing. Because you're fixing your face, like your gaze back on God. You know, you're taking it off of all the worries and pulling it back on
absolutely
God, and that's a daily action, sometimes hourly.
Yeah, And like it said, it doesn't mean that you're just pulling back altogether, because there are times where you are going through something difficult and you will have to make some tough choices. You will have to set the counseling appointment, or you will have to make that appointment with the doctor, or have the surgery, or you name it. But it's just saying, like, I am going to keep my eyes fixed on God, because I know ultimately He's going to get me through this.
Exactly.
And everything else is temporary.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like that was so encouraging.
So
and I just love that. It says, over time something shifts, not because the struggle vanished, but because your vision remained steady. I was just like, okay, I need to print this out. I like to print things out and put them in my bathroom.
That's really good.
What would you say to whoever's listening to this podcast today, and maybe they just got some really bad news. Maybe they are having a tough time in their marriage, or they're just dealing with something that they don't know how to sit with it. They don't know. They want to trust God with it, but it's hard. What kind of encouragement would you give?
I would say first, just be honest with God. It's okay to tell him that you're angry or sad. And just like you were talking about reading the Psalms, I really like to journal, and I've always journaled, and I always try to start out by just kind of thanking God for a couple things that are good, even when life is hard. And sometimes it would literally just be, I'm thankful for you, God, because everything else seemed so dark. But just journaling, and often, as I was writing out, like, even like angry things, you like hurts or frustrations or disappointments or like fears, then I would always see through, as I kept writing out my prayer, that God would turn it to gratitude and thanksgiving, and kind of shift my mind. Good. So just be honest with God, get a notebook, journal. If you're not a journaler, maybe speak it out, get somewhere quiet and talk to him. But it's just really important to do that, and it just helps get all your stuff out of you and your mind back focused on God, and not, because it does stink. Like, it's not fun. I'm not saying, put a Band-Aid over it, but I think it's good to just get it all out. And then I really do think that having community is key. I mean, if you're going to go through things by yourself, it's going to be really lonely and hard, because there's going to be times where you're going to need someone else to lean on.
That's so true.
And I think, being wise about who you are choosing, especially if it's a marriage thing, I just knew who I needed to be talking to in that season, and who I probably didn't need to be talking to. And I even, looking back, I can see how God brought the right people in my life at that time that I needed in my life.
Like, He protected you in that way. That's good.
Yeah, because I just know there was other friendships that probably wouldn't have directed me in the same way. So just being mindful of who your community is, but definitely having community, because it's key for having people that you can just be honest with. And you never know, someone may have gone through something similar, or maybe they could share encouragement, but also just to be there with you, and have someone that will pray, they're praying for you. Or if you're struggling, that you can ask them to pray and reach out to them. So I think those things are all really important. And then I think just being aware of what God may be doing in your own heart, and being willing to let him strip off those things, like I shared about pride with your kids. I think during my season of marriage, I saw like my identity. I realized I had my identity in my marriage a lot. And so God just reminded me, hey, like, your identity and worth isn't in that, it's not in being a perfected wife, it's in me. And so that was something that I really learned through that time. And then with my health, just seeing it, just realizing I don't have to have control over this, I am not in control, and God is in control, and I have to surrender this. So just be aware of what is God trying to do in you? I think it can be easy to place the blame on other people, especially if it's a marital thing, It can be very easy to say, well, if they would just do this. And yeah, I mean, maybe that may be the case, but ultimately I think God can always be moving in both people.
That's so good.
And so be willing to let him move in you and ask him, what are things that I need to work on? What are things that maybe God's trying to reveal to me that need to be stripped away? And I believe that the hard seasons can really grow us closer to God and just take off all those things that he's trying to shed us from.
That is so good. All of that. I'm like sitting here thinking, I wish I had my notebook. I want to write this down. Seriously. I loved all of that, whether it was like writing it out, the prayers, the community, pulling the right people in, and then just pondering and sitting with and taking advantage of like what God is teaching you. That's so good. And I remember there was one season for me where it was just a traumatic season, and I had community and family, and I depended on people, but it was almost like I depended on them to a fault. And I felt like in that season, looking back, God taught me like to stand on my own 2 feet, and that my strength is in him, and I don't have to lean on everyone, and like I can get through this, and it's his strength within me. And that was tough though, because it was just easier sometimes to call a friend and be like, hey, what do I do? Or, hey, I'm struggling, or, hey, pray for me, rather than just sit with God and him say, hey, Chelsie, like, you're stronger than you think. Like, Chelsie, you're going to get through this. And there is a time for community, but for me in that season, I was using it as a disadvantage, and God really stripped away just pride and just this unhealthy dependence. And all of that is so good, Keri. Man, such good wisdom. And I hate that you've been through those difficult seasons, but I also know that your faith isn't intact, and people can learn from you, just like all the things that you share today. It's been so good. And so I appreciate you being willing to talk about all of that and just being vulnerable.
Of course.
I'm sure it's not always easy. And I just want to thank you for coming on today.
Of
and
course.
Like I said earlier, Keri is an amazing writer. We'll put her link at the bottom of the podcast, and then also a link to the Bloom Conference.
Yeah.
Because you definitely want to be there.
Yes.
It's so fun, especially in the Charleston area, or if you want to travel.
It's a good getaway spot.
That's true. And pretty incredible speakers and breakouts. But Keri, I love you.
Love you
Appreciate
too.
your friendship and your constant encouragement. And thank you for being on today.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome.